Hey, everybody, welcome to Kid Contractor. Welcome to the show here. Happy to blow your speakers out with that. We got Andy Mulder here. He is en route to a one of his massive job sites, probably, or that beautiful facility he's building there. Andy, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Dude, I'm good. We're having a great close to our season here, and just trying to hit deadline of Christmas, and then we're going to take a little bit of a week long respite, I think, and then get ready to rock and roll kicking for next year. How about you, man? How's your year been?
It's been really good. I we were really busy in the spring. We in the summer, I would say for the most part, we slowed down in August, September-ish, a little bit in October, and then finally started selling some more work. And I mean, we've it's not like we didn't have any work, but we got caught up on our schedule big time. And probably the most caught up I've been in 10 years of business. And then we sold some work late in the season. Now we're super busy. I've actually never worked this late into the winter. And if depending on the weather, we'll keep working. I'll be able to work all the way through the winter.
Yeah.
So it's been a huge blessing. And again, just thankful for another year of great clients and tons of work, and always having what we need, kind of a thing. So.
Yeah, dude, that's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. Tell folks, for those of you that don't, for the three or four of you left that don't follow Andy, tell us about Mulder there and what you folks do and who you are and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm Andy Mulder, and I own and operate Mulder Outdoors, and we're out of Crown Point, Indiana. And I've been in this industry for 24 years now, and 23 years, and been on my own for 10 years, and worked for another guy before that for about 13 years. And I think that math makes sense. And yeah, so we do landscaping and hardscaping and drainage stuff, and design build projects of all sizes. And we have a maintenance team. We have a one maintenance route that goes out every single day. And we do some seasonal decor stuff. And yeah, so it's me and 6 guys right now. And then we have 2 part-time in the office, part-time office manager and a part-time finance manager. And yeah, so that's our company. So,
Dude, awesome. And then so that and the one of the big things here too is you closed and started building the dream facility there for Mulder. Dude, tell us about that, man.
yeah, so this it all started around this time last year, actually, maybe even November of last year. I've been looking for probably 2 years for a property, maybe even 3 years, for a property to either build or something that was already built that we could just buy and move into. And I didn't know what that looked like, and I didn't know what the right thing was. Of course, you go around and you see other people's shops and everything, and properties, and so you get different ideas. Every time I go somewhere else, I'm like, oh man, I should do that, or oh man, I should do this. But anyway, so I've just for a long time I've always been looking, and then got really hardcore last year about looking. And one night I was in bed and looking at LoopNet, which is like a commercial real estate thing, and searching. I was always checking that, like every couple of days I'd check it, see if there's new listings. And I found this one next to where we're at now, and I scheduled a meeting with the realtor, and by chance the realtor couldn't meet me there, and I ended up meeting the actual property owner there at this property. And it was an existing building, and it was like an old mechanic shop kind of a thing. And so I went there and met him, and he took me all over his property, and ended up, while we were there, he told me some things about the property, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. And about zoning and stuff. And so during that time, he's driving me around on his machine, his Ranger actually, and said, yeah, the guy next door here, his property is all commercial, and it's 12 acres, and he was talking about selling it at one point and retiring or whatever. And so while I'm listening to this conversation, my ears kind of perk up, and I'm like, oh, well, I like that property better. I'm going to go find that guy. And so I left that meeting and went around the corner, and there was nobody there. It was just vacant land with the guy owned a tree company. And I called the number on the side of the truck, and this is in November. And so kind of the end of November, I think, of last year. And yeah, he didn't call me back for like 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe. I don't know. It was a long time. And I called him every couple of days. I'd call him again and just see if he would call me back. And finally, he called me back around Christmas time, and I told him how I had kind of heard about it and that I wanted to come and look at it. And so we went and met shortly after Christmas or something, and he told me what he wanted for it, and I wanted to pay that. And so in January, we ended up getting it under contract, and then we didn't close on it until August, September. I don't know. It took like 9 months to get some stuff cleared with the county, or get far enough along with the county that I knew that it was safe to buy it, and safe to, invest that much money and make sure that I was going to be able to do what I wanted to do on the property. So, so it's 12 acres. It's zoned correctly. I didn't have to do any rezoning, but that was my big thing. I've heard some horror stories around here of guys that bought something that wasn't zoned right and then couldn't get it done. And that just scared the crap out of me. So I didn't want to do that. So anyways, it has a pond on it, which is super cool. There's probably, I would say, about 6 acres of like buildable land, like usable land. But I didn't buy it to have 12 acres of usable land. I liked the pond. I liked the aesthetics of it. I liked what it would do for advertising once we landscaped it. And I also liked it for just our family and company parties and whatever, fishing, all that stuff. So it has a little bit of woods on it. It has a little bit of wetlands on it. And, but it has room, so much room. It's crazy how much room it has. I've been for the last, basically my entire, except for the first year, which when I ran the company out of my garage, I ran the company out of my garage for a little while. Then I was using my parents' barn and property for a short while. And then we moved to where we're at now. And I've been running out of a 100-foot by 100-foot stone parking lot in my backyard, and shipping containers for the last, I would say, 9 years of doing that. And so moving to this land is it's hard to comprehend, even like pulling in there and being able to turn around in one turn, instead of like a 75-point turn, because we were to the point where, the more guys that we had, our maintenance team was leaving from another location down the street from my house, because we couldn't have all the employees parking at my house, because then we couldn't turn the trucks around. And then I started getting garbage trucks, then we get a dumpster, and then the garbage truck is coming every other week. And then my driveway is basically completely destroyed. And then you get a fuel tanks, and then the fuel truck is coming. And before you know it, you have all this stuff going on. But I had to stay there as long as possible to keep saving money. And it was so lean. And to be able to do what we're doing now, you have to, I don't know. I feel like you have to stretch and stretch and stretch longer than you think to make the next jump. At least that's what I did. And so I think it did hinder our growth a little bit in the company, but only because I had nowhere else to go with anything. And I was okay with that. I don't want a huge company, but it definitely, the opportunity now is being there to me is holy cow, we're here now, what kind of a thing. You go, and we're going to do this, what could we do if we had this? And now I have this property and room to literally do endless possibilities. I mean, and so now I'm kind of okay, now what kind of a thing. So, I mean, we have to build a building there. We have to develop the whole land. It's undeveloped. Basically, it has no power. It has no water. It has no septic. It has nothing. So, there's tons to, we can talk if you want to talk about that, whatever. But
yeah, let's do it.
It's super exciting. It's the biggest blessing, one of the biggest accomplishments, I think, for our company, is to be able to do this, and the family, and just overall, it's just a huge move for us. So yeah, right now if you ever, I mean, I'm sure you know this, Caleb, but if anybody ever does this kind of a thing, like you have to lower your expectations of progress in the government and like how long things take, and lower your expectations of how fast something's going to go. I have just had to become very patient and just you have to play the games. You have to go by the rules, and none of it is fast. And so it took us 6 to 8 months approximately to get far enough along with the county that I felt like we could close. I still didn't actually get what I fully wanted to close, but I was sick of waiting, and the guy that was selling it to me was sick of me messing around. So I just said, okay, fine, we'll buy it. So now we are working through, I have a full civil drawing done. That takes tons of time and tons of money. It's kind of stupid. And I think that, I mean, this does happen a lot. I know, I mean, I've learned since this is what it typically does. You spend a massive amount of money in the planning stages, and you could get through this and still not be able to do something. Like I think that happens a lot in developments. Like they own this property, and then they spend all this money on civil and site plans and all this stuff, and then the county could say, no, we don't want that there, and then they spent whatever they spent, either anywhere from 20,000 to 300 or $1 million. I don't even know what people spend. I can't even imagine on site planning and everything. So I'm learning a lot about that. So we have a civil plan done. We have architectural plans pretty much done. We don't have a full build set yet, but the office layout is done and the outside layout is done. And I just finalized some of that last week. And so now we're waiting on, we have to put a septic field in the property. And so that adds a whole other level to the whole development, because with it being commercial property, it has to go down in Indiana, it has to go down state to be approved before the health department locally will approve it. So we had to get soil testing where I wanted the septic field to go. And then that has to go down state, and they have to say yes or no. And then they send it back. And then you pay for a septic design. And then that has to get approved by someone relatively local. And then they send that back downstate. And that's going to be the thing that's getting done right now. And so that will be the thing that I have to wait on the longest, from what I heard here, is the approval of the design from the state. And I've heard horror stories of that taking 6 months or longer. So I don't really know how long that's going to take. And this county will not give me, the county will not let me, quote unquote, put a shovel in the ground until I get the approval for the septic. That's what holds up everything. So they won't give me, I can't start excavation. I can't literally do anything until that part of it comes back, because the health department is one of the signatures or sign-offs you have to get for the county to give you the full site plan approval. So it's a lot, like I said, a lot of waiting, a lot of upfront spending, and a lot of upfront work. And then hopefully, you go through all those steps that, those hoops that they want you to jump through. And then hopefully it's smoother sailing after that. Is what it all sounds easy to say it out loud, but I can tell you, like, everything, like, working with the county is tricky, because like every little thing, like, you think you've done enough, and then they're like, oh no, we want you to do this, and oh no, we can do this, and oh, I see this over here, you should probably do this. And like, you try and like have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and then there's a few that you miss somehow every time. It's like going to the B&V and trying to get in and out of there in one trip. It's just like that. So yeah, it's been I've learned so much so far. It's very scary to me. Honestly, like I don't know. It's very nerve wracking. I've never done anything like this. I've never developed land. I've never, just buying the property alone was like the biggest thing me and my wife have ever done in our lives. And so it's kind of like, holy cow, like, do we really want to do this? And are we going to do this? And, but we know that it's the right location. I'm 100% confident that it was worth waiting for. And like, I looked at other properties, some that I almost put offers in, and then I backed out because I felt uncomfortable about. And so like looking back, it's like, man, I'm so glad we waited for this one. So that feels really good. And it's already been a huge blessing for the company. There's a huge, the previous owner had put in a ton of asphalt grindings. And so there's a huge parking lot, and we've been able to move all of our shipping containers over there, and we're fully operating out of there now. There's lots of options for solar power. So we'll be doing a lot of solar stuff, and pretty much I'm doing exactly what I was doing at my house, except over there. And it's already 10 times better. And we have a porta potty there because I never wanted a porta potty in my backyard. I mean, the shipping containers was already a stretch for my wife to have to look at every day, let alone a porta potty. So just having a porta potty at the property, like it's the little stuff, man. I'm telling you, like, I honestly, like, the building will be a blessing and it's going to be a good thing for the company. But I'll be the first to say, like, I ran a very successful landscape company out of shipping containers, and I could do that on this property for probably the rest of my company's existence and be just as profitable as I am now. And it never has hindered me from getting work ever. And so the building is, I don't think I could sit here and say the building is a necessity. I think it's more of like, it will be good for the company, and it's good. It's a good investment, and I want to have the building, but I don't think it's something that I need to run my company, if that makes sense. That's kind of the thing I've been thinking through, like in the design phases and stuff. It's like, sometimes I've been like him-hawing about different like little decisions. It's like, hold the phone. Like, this is going to be unbelievable. Like, if we don't do this part of it or whatever, like, I'm still running my company out of these shipping containers. Like, let's not forget that kind of a thing, does that make sense? So,
Yeah.
But I think it'll be really good for company morale. I think it'll be really good for attracting employees. Obviously, having a physical location that people can see with signage, I think will be really, really good. And it's so cool. I'm so excited. I mean, every time I see a semi pull in there and dump something, I'm just like, this is the craziest thing that they can just pull in and turn around. And like, it's so nice to not get deliveries blocking the whole street in front of my house for different things. And like, I don't know, it's so many cool things. So, yeah.
Oh, Andy, it is. That's amazing, man. And even like just the improvements you've done to the property so far, just mowing and cleaning some things up and stuff. Like, you're already ahead in value on the place, probably.
Oh yeah,
Right?
like, it's kind of crazy. Like, where we bought is a very busy street. It's a state highway, actually. And I didn't really realize it, I guess. I didn't realize that so many people drive by that, because like, I don't talk to anyone that doesn't know that we're there and know that we bought it. Like, people in my circles and stuff that I typically, like, I talk to, but like, we're not friends. And so, but I haven't necessarily told them that we bought or whatever, but they've seen it, and different people at different companies. And so it's crazy, like, how like, and even, I guess there's somebody that I know that goes to our church that lives in the community. It's a very small, like, blip of a town. It's part of Crown Point, which is a huge town in our area, but then there's this other little, like, it's called Winfield. It's like a little township it's called a Leroy. It's a little like township within Crown Point, if that makes sense. So anyways, I think like the whole town, this whole little area is like, who's this new guy? And like, it's the most action the area has seen in a long time, kind of a thing.
Yeah, sure.
So like, I mean, the guy, everything was like 5 feet, 6 feet tall with weeds everywhere. I mean, so just bush hogging, it took us 2 or 3 days to get the thing bush hogged down so we could see. I mean, there was piles of asphalt grindings in the weeds that I couldn't see in different spots. It was like, that's how overgrown it was. So that's been really cool, just to open everything up and see it. And just that has attracted so much attention. And yeah, it's been really cool to like clean it up. And there's just tons of work. It's already nice to have like something that, like, if I have a half day or something where like, typically I maybe would have sent the guys home or something or whatever, like, hey, you can go do this. Or it's nice to like, I'm already seeing some, I mean, obviously that costs money. that stuff like shop time and all that stuff. But
Oh yeah.
but everything that we're doing right now is like just already a huge improvement to the property, which improves the value. And so that feels really good, so.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. So to be ahead in value on the property already just after some improvements, really cool. What's
Yeah.
the what's your philosophy on the building itself? Like guiding principles, like what's the number one objective with the new building? Like everything you look at in its design is based on what?
I'm building a building that I don't, it's something that we could definitely grow into. I have a home office right now, which I spend very little time in. Uh, our office staff works remotely completely. So like we're building out the offices and we're gonna have a conference room and all this stuff. And I'm building those things. So what I'm saying is like right now I don't need all of that, right? But I know that I think to go to the next level within our company, those are the things that I think those spaces will be really good for the company. And I think that um, we'll be able to develop a better company culture by having some things like that, like conference room, or be able to do some more like training or whatever with the guys, like in a nice area, and have everybody come into the same place. And I think they will take ownership of the place too a little bit, because it's somewhere that we've been running on a shipping container, so it's like I think it'll just have a different feel completely for the company. um I it's going to be bigger than what I need right now. That's all I know. And how many times have people told me build it bigger than you think you need it to be or whatever. And so I'm trying to I've changed the size of the building 3 times, I think. And trying to think about like how we're going to use it and what creates the most usable space. And um, you know, we do snow removal, a little bit of snow removal. So I try and think about the building in year round usage, right? So like in the summer, it's not like in the summer we'll be pulling in and out of there with trucks very much. It's just not, it doesn't make sense for us to do that. There's typically things are hooked up to trailers or whatever, right? But in the winter, it will be really nice to be able to, all the trucks can pull in that are doing snow removal and be able to sit in the heated shop. And so I have to try and think through that. And how we build the building, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Maybe I haven't really thought about that question very much.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
Well, yeah, and yeah, I mean that's exactly, what I'm getting at is, with the size of the building, the layout, and you're thinking out, and you're a guy that thinks, one of many of my favorite things about you is you don't like, I just will freaking just crash into something just and try it. You're very methodical. You think things through. You put a lot of thought in about anything you do, I feel like. And so, with your building, I'm presuming obviously like efficiency and the ability you have with a semi able to turn around in that whole yard like is awesome. So I'm sure efficiency and like a good layout is super critical in your thought process.
Yeah, so like I changed the location on the property 2 or 3 times, and thinking through like how the flow will go and where the bins are going to be and how a semi can back into the bins, and then where the fuel tanks are going to be, so that it makes sense to fuel up. And it does, because like I've learned, like if you don't make it easy, like every time filling up, it's like they're like jockeying the truck to get where it needs to go, right, to reach the fuel hose or whatever. Like so I've been thinking about that. And then I also like where I ended up putting the building, I really wanted to make the pond part of the property to be usable by our team. And so I positioned the building in a way that we're going to have a 20 by 30 foot like covered porch in the back, I guess you want to call it. And I want to build like an outdoor kitchen, and like we're going to landscape it really nice. And I want to use that. I I don't know if I said this. I'm not building the building for like retail. Like it's in the back of the property. Like I'm not putting it right by the street. I could care less like who sees the I mean, you're going to see the building, but like it's not like it's set up for retail. So I want to make sure that the building, because of that, I want to use it for the company, right? I want to use it for the team to enjoy. So like I position the building where that back overhang and everything overlooks and looks at the pond, which is also um, east facing. So then when the sun is setting in the west, um, it will be all shaded in the back, and it'll be really nice for like afternoon hangouts and whatever, if we have whatever we have there, you know. So I really thought about that a lot. And then also like the doors face the west, which may not be the best for wind and snow, but whatever. When the guys pull in, there's tons of room to pull in and out and back in or out, like a massive amount of space. Because I had the building like more in the middle. Because for years I thought what I wanted was like a pull through shop. I just thought that initially I thought that was like the best. You know, I've seen Dervin from Dig It Excavating has a pull through shop, and there's two other ones that I've seen that have pull through buildings, and like it's so cool, but it takes a lot of yard space. It takes up a lot of usable yard space to do that, because you have to have room to turn around to get straight enough to pull in, and then you need enough space on the other side to pull out and turn. And so initially I had the building like more in the middle of the yard, and like I started thinking about like where people are going to park and how that's going to work. It's like I just don't like, it just didn't make sense on this property, and how I have some detention ponds that need to go in. And so I thought about that, and then I also was thinking about like the usable space of the building. When you put in a pull through shop, you lose almost all the wall space, because you have to have doors on both sides. And so you're not going to be able to put pallet racking on the back wall. You only have the sides, or you have the middle rows, right? So I was thinking through that. And then like I watched Jeremy, our buddy Jeremy, build his shop. And then I saw how he utilized the pallet racking and all that stuff. It's like those reasons are all reasons to not do a pull through, because yeah, it makes sense for some people, but like for me, I know that in the summer we're not going to be pulling in there every day. I'm just not going to do it. So I still plan to utilize some shipping containers for storage of like stuff that I don't need to clutter up the shop with, kind of a thing. But we have like, I think there'll be like 4 bay doors. I think it's 4 or 5. And the building will be 60 by 150. So
Nice.
So then the offices are, I think, 30 by 60. It's kind of similar to yours, but my building will be not as deep but longer, I think. I don't remember how big yours is, Caleb. I think it's 70 by
70,
120.
120, yeah. So
Okay.
you're 60, 150,
I'm
yeah.
60 by 150. And so initially I had an 80 by 120, and that was when I had a pull through version. I don't know. I spent a lot of time like messing around on a computer and deciding what I want and anything. So anyways, that's what I ended up going with. There'll be a mezzanine on top, similar kind of like to your office area. There'll be like a mezzanine on top. And then I also had, at one point, I had a separate like walled off shop space. That was when I had an 80 by 120 design. And so the offices was like 30 by 40. And then I had this completely walled off shop space that was going to be like for working on equipment and like keeping the dust off the tools, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I fight that in my little building that I have now. It's like the dust just gets on everything. And I remember you talking about that, like you pull equipment and it just spews up the dust. And so I was thinking about that. And so I designed it like that. And then the more I kept looking at the layout and where the property is, and then you need more doors. And dude, it's just like, I don't have an unlimited budget for this thing. So it's like you design something and then you see what it costs. And then at least for me, I've like tried to think about my priorities harder once I see a number on it. It's like, okay, this is what I really want. This is what it's going to cost. How bad do I really want this luxury part of this shop over here? Or how bad do I want this many doors? Or, whatever. You have to think through that. And So anyways, I completely got rid of that because it didn't make sense financially, and it didn't make sense for usage of the building. And I found out that it's actually significantly cheaper to build a building that's longer instead of wider because of truss size. And
Yep.
so that saved me like $50,000 by, it's actually maybe a little bit less or similar square footage, but just a different layout. Right. And I don't remember where we're going with this. I just, just thinking through. Yeah. So I thought about like where I want to have like a fridge, and like I really want an ice machine. I want the guys to be able to fill up their cooler or get a bag of ice or whatever, because that's like, I would say anymore the main reason we're stopping, or the guys stop for the gas station or whatever, because we don't stop at the gas station for fuel. But I typically will try and do it when I'm going to the job. I'll get a bag of ice, right? So I'm always stopping to get a stupid bag of ice. It's like, I want an ice machine, or I want one of those ice trucks that comes and fills a big thing of ice. I don't know. I even have water delivered to the shop now for the guys, a pallet of water. The company comes, they drop it off. And so that's great. But just trying to think through like what we're doing now and how can we do it where everything is there and supplied for the guys and they don't need to go anywhere to get it. And thinking through like, again, I just kept thinking through like how we're going to pull in and out of the building. And I know for us in the summer, other than the maintenance guys, the landscape guys will not pull in there every day. That's not how it's going to be. The maintenance guys will pull in there every single day. And that's not a big deal. They drive in a Zuzu truck. There's no trailer. And so they have like a bay set up. Well, that's where the maintenance team will pull in and out of every day. And I'm really excited for them. I think they're going to really appreciate that and like that. I've kind of tried to space the doors apart where there's plenty of room for a pallet racking in between them. And then the guys can still open like say you had two bay doors and a pallet racking in the middle, and it's still wide enough to open the doors all the way on a truck, kind of a thing. So like some of I think I have one bay or two bays that the doors are 14 foot wide. And then the three bays where most of the time the trucks would pull in and out are 16-foot doors. But again, you got to think through that too. Like, have you got a price for a 16-foot wide door? It's a lot more than a 12. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you've talked about this when you were building your building. You have to decide what are you going to do now, and what can't you change later, and blah blah blah. So, yeah, it's honestly, it's so fun to do that. It's so fun to like draw it out. It's been so fun to go and like see architectural plans. Like, I love it. It is just so exciting. But then at the end of the day, like, you got to buck up and pay for this bad boy. So, and a big variable on the property is the earthwork. There's more site work there than I expected there to be. I already know that. I haven't even got a full number on it yet, but like, I was not expecting to have to do the detention or retention. I believe it would be detention. Or no, retention, where it can fill up, but then it releases it out. That would be retention, right?
That's detention.
Detention.
So
Okay.
just detains it temporarily. Retention
Correct.
holds it for.
So I have to have two of those on the
Yeah.
property, and I was not expecting to do that.
Yeah.
So that ate up property, but like, that was a huge bummer, honestly. But at the end of the day, I came to grips with it in the fact that like, it doesn't matter who buys this property. They're going to have to do the same thing I'm
Right.
doing. So, like,
Yeah.
you don't really have a choice. Like, you want to do this and you want this much impervious surface, this is the pond you're putting in. So that ate up some property. But so that equals earthwork, right? And so I am not planning on self-performing a ton of work on this development. I'm planning on, for the most part, I'll hire an excavator probably to do all the site work and get it ready. I might do the building pad, but I'm not planning on being the general of the building. I'm planning on hiring a GC to do the job from start to finish, basically, if I can. And I'm doing that because I know myself, and I know that I will obsess over that, and my attention span will only focus on that. And then I won't sell enough work. And I'm really scared. I'm just been really worried about that. And then thinking about how much, like, what does that save me at the end of the day? Maybe 200-300 grand, I'm guessing. I don't know. In like hiring someone to, like, the excavating. Okay, I'll hire the excavator. You do the work. Okay. But then when it comes to the building, like, if I have to pay an extra 100 to 200 grand for project management on this, like, it wouldn't take very much to lose that in profit on jobs because I didn't keep my eye on what's actually making money in the company. So I've gone back and forth on that a lot, but at the end of the day, and I have that philosophy on, like, working on my own equipment and, like, working on just even on my house, or, like, if I didn't have a mowing company, if I would pay someone to do the mowing of my own grass, like, I make money landscaping, and I don't make money trying to save it by doing something else, doing something that I'm not a professional at. And so I'm trying to apply that to this building. Like, it is a lot of money, but, like, I could also take my eye off the prize and lose, have a terrible year because I was focused on this building over here that we don't really need to run our company technically, but it's great. It's an investment and all that stuff, but I need that to happen while we're staying profitable and running a successful landscape company, right? Or say I do a crap job on a customer and I don't give them the customer service I need because I'm over here trying to meet with the electrician. Like, that could be, a 6-figure mistake because they're not happy with us and won't recommend us to their next friend or whatever. Does that make sense? So there's so many different ways. There's so many different ways to do what I'm about to do, and everybody has their way. And for me, I'm very involved on the job site, and I'm very involved on the sales process. And that's just where we are in the company. I don't have a lot of people to do a lot of things that affords me the capacity to take that building project on. And so I have to be really careful about that, I think. So
I won't disagree with that. Based on our own experience and a couple friends I've had that run companies and focused their time on building a house, or building a shop for their company. Like, I've got a handful of examples around me of, like, generally that year and the following year the company suffers because they GC'd their own build, and we're no exception to that. Like, last year was rough for us in workload. This year's been awesome, but last year was rough because we're on the back side of the build.
And that, for you, that was the year after you built, correct?
Yeah, because we burn up our pipeline of work during the build. Like, we had a huge backlog and we just burnt that up. And so I had no backlog really, and I spent very little time the year prior, exactly the stuff you're talking about, marketing the company, doing what I do, which is kissing babies and shaking hands, and I probably put in, building this place, I probably put in 4,000 hours here. Like, it's insane how much time I put in this place. I was here for 12 hours a day for a year straight. And that's minimum 12 hours a day. It was nuts. I didn't have these wrinkles in my corner of my eyes until the build year. Now, like,
you can get some injections for that, Caleb.
Dude, I know I'm going to have to. But, like, now the inverse of that is, like, yeah, we struggled the next year. We did okay, but it wasn't great. Now, I put a ton of equity in this building that way. Like, I don't know that I can replicate
like,
make
it. There's so many different ways to do it, and different ways to think about, like, okay, well, whatever. How much will that equity pay off in 10 years? I don't know.
But, at the same time, like, and I say this, it's hard to say what you would do next time, because we bought a small industrial lot, like an acre lot. And I'm going to do the site work and some basic stuff I know we can do. That there's a good time arbitrage there. Like, me and a bulldozer can do a lot of work, right, and save us a bunch of money from hiring a site contractor. Me doing, and then we did this in here too. Like, me doing drywall or painting, that makes zero sense, right? I can't put enough man hours in that to make that make sense. But I probably, if we were to ever do this again, would hire out every bit of it so I can stay focused on the company. Because, like I said, that came my favorite phrase these days, quo pretio. It means at what cost? Anything you do, quo pretio, at what cost? And yeah, I put a ton of equity in this building. I won't see it for 20 or 30 years. That's the one thing about it too. Like we're not
Sure.
selling anytime soon.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so there's a million ways to cut this. And ultimately, I think making sure the business, the main profit generator, stays intact is really something to consider. And I don't think you're wrong there. Long story short, Andy, really.
Yeah, like I think back too, like I was like, so thinking back of when I was looking at the properties, like, okay, I'm gonna buy this property and like we're gonna put up a building this year, right? And I thought it's gonna go really fast and all this stuff. And like we got like we have a separate LLC that owns the property, right? And we'll own the building. And so to think about like, okay, Mulder Outdoors is over here working and we got slow, right? And I had to like really, really focus on selling work and selling it fast. Cause like we got like, I was 6 days out at one point and I
Yeah.
have never been like that ever. And so that happened September. It must have been September, October. I think maybe more September, but I had to like go hard on selling. And like, if we would have been actually building the building then, and I was GCing it or whatever, like I could easily see not only like something would suffer. So either I wouldn't sell enough work and then everybody's kind of standing there looking at me, or I wouldn't do what I needed to do with the building. Or like, uh, it just like, I think like everything happens for a reason. I believe for me, God has a plan and his timing is perfect. And thinking back now, it's like, man, am I glad this didn't go fast, because like I was really stressed. Like September, like, holy cow, we need work. Not from like, for me, like, it's not a financial thing. I just have this massive like weight of responsibility for my team, right? Like they need work and I'm never going to be like, hey guys, go home, I don't have enough work. Like I can't say I'm never going to do that, but hopefully, Lord willing, I never have to say that. And so I have this responsibility to provide work for them. And so like I had that weight on me during that time. It's like every night I'm like, man, I need to sell this job, or I need to go meet with that person. They called me at 8 o'clock at night. I'm going 7 o'clock the next morning to meet with them. And then I'm going to have their design by that night. Like, and typically I'm the worst at that. When we're super busy, like it would take me 3 months to get back to somebody because we were booked for 9 months. Like it didn't really matter. But like, it's crazy how fast like something can change like that, and kind of crept up on me in like July, August. I was like, holy cow, like we don't have any work. And like, I haven't sold work in 2 months. And like, all of a sudden it's like, it kind of happens. And then, so if I'm saying all that to say, like, from a stress standpoint and like just a quality of life, like I can't imagine having the weight of this project going on over here and I have to manage all of that. And then I also have 6 guys staring at me every day telling me, what can we do next? You know what I mean? Like, so like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen when I'm building the building. That could happen next year again. I don't know. I never know what's going to happen. That's the crazy thing about running your own business, is you don't know what every week's going to bring, or every day, or every hour. Sometimes it's like, so I just want to try and manage, I guess, my capacity in a responsible way, if that makes sense. And that's my main driver. All of those reasons are why I'm not going to run the job. I'm not going to build the building. I'm not going to run the building myself, if that, or, be the GC. Yes, I absolutely could do it if that's what I focused on, but I'm not doing it. So
Yeah, I mean I think there's a tremendous amount of wisdom in that, man. And stay focused on the thing that brings in the income, and then there's times too that were different for you and I and others too, where it's like you would have
oh, yeah,
had to do a ton of work yourself, whatever. It is what it is. But that's the thing, is once you get a machine going, like a successful business, man, that's got to stay the focus. And because it is easy to let the empire slip. And
yeah.
so,
But I
yeah,
mean, it's also like people like you run your company different from me. Than you are removed from the field and your jobs move along. Like I am not at that point in my company. And so like I need to stay involved more than even you do. And I mean, you have I mean, technically a smaller company than me, but you've set up your company different. So you have a little more capacity to do different things. It's just like it's so different for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. And that's when, you got to go with, and for people listening or whatever, that is just it. You've got to, you ultimately know what's right that you need to do.
yeah.
But it doesn't mean don't listen and, try to gather some wisdom from others' experiences and all that for sure. Andy, we're pushing an hour here, so I don't want to drag you beyond that, man. Something that's stuck with me for a long time, and I find myself repeating this often. And this winter, we're revamping the interior of the shop. Which
Are you?
let me step back here one more time, one more part. The dust thing in the shop, since we got that floor
Oh, yeah.
sweeper Zamboni thing, game
Yeah.
changer on the dust situation, game
Really?
changer. Because I mean, there's dust on the floor, or like you can do the whole shop floor in 7 minutes as opposed to 3 man hours squeegeeing the thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the dust thing is way different. It still is. There's still dust, but nothing like we used to battle. So that's a little different. And we've
Well,
got
that's
most
good
of the
to hear.
parking lot gravelled now. But muddy machines are coming in here in a couple weeks off a job. So but that floor sweeper, folks, if you're building a shop, figure out a way, sell a 4-wheeler, whatever you got to do to get a floor sweeper, because the mopper squeegee thing, because that is just something you got to have, man.
That's
Andy,
good to know, because I've still been like him hawing around. Like, I changed the layout and whatever. And I'll probably second guess everything I do for a long time while I'm
right?
building it.
Oh yeah.
But that's good to hear that it's more under control when you have something like that. So,
Yeah, if your floors are smooth finish, yeah, that needs to be like your first purchase, man. Like it
yeah.
is crazy what that does for dust management.
Yeah.
Time spent looking for things is time wasted. You said that years ago, and I was in my old facility, and it was a 15-foot by 40-foot just storage bay, and we had just crap piled everywhere. We're always looking, and that just haunted me for years. Of just all the time we spend looking for crap in our shop, and I was just like, and I didn't have the right mindset at the time, and of just like, man, just if we put some storage shelves in there, but not like big racking and stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
like every time I find myself out in this building looking for something, I'm just like, oh, we have to stop this. We have to stop this. This is just like the ghost of Andy Mulder just in my ears. It's just so much wasted. It's just so much wasted time. If we could have just gone and grabbed the part or the piece or the tool and go. So the shop is decent organized now, but we're really gonna, and this is part of a phased thing too. Like we for folks that don't know or know, like we borrowed money to build our shop, but we were going to cash flow. We just had a cutoff point of what we were going to borrow, and then from there we're going to cash flow other stuff. And a lot of that stuff still to go yet is a lot of organizational things, like more racking. We're going to put a ton of racking outdoors to put buckets of skid steers and stuff on. Like, so that's like our next big push this winter with some downtime, I hope. But yeah, man, that has stuck with me forever. And I imagine it's still a guiding principle for you from your job trailers to everything else.
Yeah. I don't know if like where that kind of became a thing, but I've always kind of liked having things organized from a tool standpoint. I'm not like my where my shirts go in my drawer, like I could care less, right? I just kind of throw it in there for some reason. It's kind of weird, but like with tools, I don't know if it's just, I actually have fun just organizing stuff. It's like, I don't know, I just enjoy it. And so that's kind of just trickled into different things within the company, and it turns out it actually makes it more efficient. But and I just learned, I guess, when you work with other people, not just yourself, like not thinking what you're thinking, and they probably analyzed every decision like you have, and so you have to, and that comes along on every single thing within the company, from driving a truck to how they get to a job site to how long it takes them to walk from one place to the other and which path they go. Like for me, I think about all of that because every single move I make affects everything within the company, right? And so, like, if you make it where they can find something fast and do something faster because you made it easy, they're just going to do it naturally, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
and so, like, that's kind of like literally the other day, I watched one of my guys, and it was fine what he did, but he had to go somewhere to get something. and I watched the way he walked. There was like an obstacle in the middle, and I watched which way he went. And I'm like, why'd you go that way? That was way slower way to go. Why didn't you go over there? But like, I could tell him that, but it's like, dude, just whatever. Just go get the thing. You know what I mean? But like, it's just like I think about that, right? And like when I walk somewhere, I always feel like when I'm walking and I have to go show somebody, like they're like trailing behind me. It's like I'm walking at a faster pace because I just want to get it, right? Like every task, that's how it ends up being for me. But you can't expect, your team is not going to do that. And so I have to like reel myself in on like getting upset about different things, like efficiency wise sometimes, because it's like no one is going to do it. I mean, if you said it all the time, no one's going to do it as fast as you're going to do it every single time. So like when you bid a job, you know, if the second you pull yourself on the job site, off the job site, you better raise your hours on that job site 15% minimum, because it's just going to happen. You're just going to be slower. And it's not that your guys are, you know, if you have a good crew, it's not any fault of theirs. They're just not going to be as fast. So that's how then I think through like organization and how you can help them be as fast as they can be by organizing things, having things labeled, and having like everything that they actually need to do the job. I probably err on the side of too much crap. Like sometimes I buy stuff and like I think it's gonna. I mean, you've said this all the time. I see it. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna use that. They're never gonna use it, and that's fine. Like, and I've had to learn the hard way. Sometimes I have to push them to do something. Sometimes it takes me like the end kind of like, yeah, it's kind of cool. No, we're gonna use this every single day. It's gonna blow your mind. And now everybody gets it. But like I'm setting up, and I have shown a bunch of this. I've been setting up one of these bar boxes. It's Elmer from Potted Luck makes these big job site toolboxes. And it's kind of like making my wheels turn a little bit. I was not sold on it initially when I heard about it, because I just was like, okay, I like my trailer, and this is what I do. I have a tool trailer, and this is what I do. But then I went to Jeremy's synced up summit that he had, and he had it there. And the minute I saw it, I'm like, okay, this is like better than I thought. And like I feel like we might be able to utilize this. And we've been, I would say this fall when we got busier again, like I was kind of juggling a couple jobs at the same time, and probably more than I normally do. Normally our company, we're like one job at a time. Typically, I will not do two jobs at the same time. I just haven't. But the way that what we've been doing and the kind of the projects that we have on the schedule, like that it wasn't super time sensitive, but it needed to get done, and it was for previous clients. So you're not going to say no, you're going to do the work. And so I knew that we were going to be juggling some jobs, going back and forth. And so on the big hardscape job that we're on right now, our tool trailer's backed in pretty far in the backyard, and it's muddy season, right? So anytime I need to get that trailer out, it's going to be muddy, and we're going to get the street dirty, and we're going to mess up the yard because I backed it through their front yard when it wasn't muddy, but now it's wet and now it's frozen, but whatever at that time, right? So I'm like, maybe one of these boxes we could do something with this, and like it could be something that we could implement. And so I bought one, and I just have a blast. I love buying tools. Whatever. It's probably I probably have a problem buying tools, but there's probably bigger problems to have. But so I have spent like the last 2 or 3 weeks outfitting this whole thing, and like I just put, literally before we jumped to this call, I put like one of the last things in there, and I made a whole like inventory list of like what's going to be in there and what do we need to actually do a hardscape and landscape job. And like I've got pretty much everything I need to do a lot of stuff inside this box, and it's kind of like making my wheels turn. Like if this works, like do I really need to have a huge trailer? I mean, I think I will always have one, like for the big jobs where you need like lots of consumables or irrigation stuff or all that, you know what I mean? But like I think it might be even more less overwhelming for the guys because it's a smaller area to find something.
Yeah, right.
That makes sense. And so we're going to take it out to a job next week. Obviously, you can bring it right to where you're working. So like it'd be interesting to find out in the next year or two, like how much we use it and like how are the guys gravitating towards grabbing that as opposed to wanting to take the whole trailer? Because I am a huge proponent of the trailer, and I always have been, and I don't foresee getting away from that. But like from a mobilization thing, like less trucks potentially, because you can just throw it on the back of a truck that you're hauling a skid loader with, instead of needing a truck for that's hauling the trailer, the tool trailer, and one that's hauling the skid loader, so
Right.
that's kind of what my thought process is. And like, I'm just, of course it's fun, and I like to organize things, and I like to make it efficient, and I'm interested to see how the guys like it, and how much things get stacked on top of each other inside of it. Like right now it looks pretty and it's beautiful inside of the shop, but like, you also got to remember, like, real life happens in the end of the day, and everyone's tired, and they throw 17 tools on top of the $1,000 concrete saw. So that's going to happen, and it's not going to stay as pretty as it looks right now. And so it's just whatever. I like organization. It's paid dividends, I think, in time spent on the job site. I think that we're very efficient company. I think that I just like being on a job site and being able to concentrate on what you have to do and not running out of supplies. Where I used to work, that would happen quite a bit. We wouldn't have what we needed, or we didn't have the tool that we needed, or we left at the shop, or so like maybe some of what I do now stems from that. Like, I just wanted it to be different and better. But I there's nothing I hate more than in the middle of the day having to go and get something that we could have had there.
Yeah.
Like, the amount, like, it completely like shuts down the job. Like, not all the way, but you know what I mean? I try and think through things like 10 times. And so that's probably one of my downfalls too, is getting away from the job site. It's like, it's very hard to teach that and to train that from a foreman standpoint. Like, it's just hard. It takes time to get someone to think. You have to think 10 steps ahead all the time to keep that efficiency going, because like, I mean, every step, like on this job right now, like I am thinking 2 weeks ahead right now of what's going to be potentially happening then, and making sure that I have ordered it so that it's there. Right. And if you wait 2 days before and it takes a week to get, well, now you just screwed the job site.
Yeah.
And like, it's crazy. It's so hard to teach that, I have found. And so that's probably why I was told this, that you get off the job. If you want to get off the job site, you better add 20% to your man hours, because it's hard to teach that. Right. And it's really rare to find that. And I lost my foreman this spring. I don't need to like, get up, I'm not all worked up about it anymore. It's all good. But like, he was to that point, and like, so that's why it was like such a huge loss at that time, because like he had been with me for 8 years, and it took 8 years to get to that level. We were as efficient as if I was there. It was awesome. And then it's gone. So like,
just like
it's just, it literally, dude, what are you going to do? And everybody deals with it. And I think that will continue on in this, that it happens in this industry every day.
Oh yeah.
But people need to better themselves. And if they need to go somewhere, then you do you, right? But I don't know where I'm going with this. Except I know you were talking about like efficiency and all that stuff. I think that mentality has played a huge role in our success and our efficiency and our profitability. But there's also times when I think, maybe that's why we don't grow. We haven't grown very much, because it's so hard to teach that. But at the same time, I don't really want to be bigger. So, I go back and forth in a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore, I guess, but
it's all solid stuff, and it's all exactly what a lot of folks are dealing with or trying to figure out, or whatever, Andy. It is all relatable, man, no doubt. Andy, what's the rest of your day look like? And then we'll let you go.
Right now I'm going to our job site right now. I need to, the guys, we were off yesterday because it was like 10 degrees and 20-mile-an-hour winds, and so we didn't work. And so they're there today and cutting in the patio and putting in border. And it's supposed to be above freezing on Monday, so we're going to get a bunch of perma-edge in around the edge of the patio everywhere. And then I have a meeting with a subcontractor to look at building a pavilion on this job next summer, because we're going to lay out the footings for that sometime in the next 2 weeks. So I want to make sure that that's all good to go. And then later tonight, we're going to go, me and the family are going to go ice skating on the pond. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Heck yeah, Andy.
Yeah.
Well, man,
what about you?
We are, oh my gosh, dude. I'm gonna stop in on a big job we got going on and try to get a couple other proposals and things out the door. And I'm interviewing a kid that's gonna be we'll see, maybe join the team here. So we got an interview here at the office in a little bit.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, so 20-year-old seems to maybe have his stuff together. That'll be interesting. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So we'll see. But yeah, man, doing that, and then I've got a marketing meeting here with one of my friends that does our is going to be doing our art direction for us, if you will, helping us like craft the brand look for Auman Landscape a little bit better, and our signage and just all that kind of junk. So just all, man, there's never nothing.
Is your sign at the road all done? I haven't seen it in a
No,
while.
that's all that stuff's ordered. Like we got the sign ordered, the actual like signage for the sign at the road and the lettering and all this. It's all ordered. It's in progress. So hopefully have that
Nice.
up in the next 30 days and complete. So we'll see. But yeah, just talking all that kind of direction on things, and then we're gonna go to the zoo tonight and walk around in the cold, look at lights.
Oof.
Can't wait.
I hope it's not too
So
cold.
it's
That'll be fun.
it's going to be real cold. And the thing I love about it is we drive our truck there, our gas guzzling truck, to which they advertise to us to come look at lights at the zoo that burn up electricity. And then the whole time you get lectured with signage and billboards about our carbon footprint. So I just, the irony just drives me insane.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's another show, but I digress. You know, I'd be more impressed if they told us to stay home, don't burn up the energy to get here.
You know what? Just, yeah.
You know what? You mean what you say, actually. Instead, pay us money. Okay. Andy, dude, thanks so much. You're a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah,
and folks, and I'll put this in the front of the show here, but Mulder Outdoors on Instagram, right? At Mulder Outdoors.
Yep. At Mulder Outdoors. Yep.
And you can get a really good idea there what all he's got going on, and YouTube channel and all that stuff too. Motor Life Podcast, and I was going to actually mention Stephanie too. Give her a quick plug. I plug Cycle all the time, but Stephanie does an amazing job for some folks I talk to that know Stephanie. They do her account, or she does their accounting and bookwork, and so I always want to say it's Krauser. It's Kauser.
Yeah, Kauser's Consulting. Yeah, she's my sister-in-law, but she's been doing my all my financials for pretty much since we started the company, I would say, and she's an integral part to the financial success of the business, and she's incredible. And so if you're looking for somebody, definitely go check out her, and you should have her on our podcast sometime, dude.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And yeah, I know a couple of people like said she's working with, and they are just like, dude, it's night and day. I know us working with Cycle in the same capacity has revolutionized our company. So I just want to put good companies out there that are helping people, because that is night and day changing, life changing for companies if you get those numbers tracked and in order, and they'll hold you accountable to an extent too. So, Andy, dude, as always,
if I could, I am doing, like, on my YouTube channel, I've trying to do a series on this whole property development. So we have like 8 videos up right now. And I plan to kind of document the whole thing as the build goes along. So if anybody's out there, just Mulder Outdoors on YouTube. So
Andy, do that and keep that up, because what I have found, like, it is a pain in the butt to do all that recording, right?
No, it's so hard. It's so hard.
But one of my guilty pleasures on Sunday is after we do church and all that stuff, I'll maybe watch a video of even just 2 years ago, and the kids playing in the mud puddles here on our YouTube channel, building the shop and stuff. Dude, it is the greatest thing to look back on. And imagine if, like, your dad, for example, made a YouTube channel about trucking and whatever. Like, how cool would that be to watch?
I think about that all the time. Like, what I would give, because my grandpa owned a big recycling company and garbage company.
Yeah.
And, like, man, what I would give to, like, watch videos of, like, what they did and, like, how that is so exciting to me, to, like, my grandkids hopefully will be able to see this footage, and, like, it's just and it wasn't available, but, like, I'm very excited about that in 50 years. So
yeah, so I want to encourage you to keep it up, even on days you don't want to hit record and screw with all that. It's worth it, man. It's so cool to look back on. So heck yeah, dude. Well, Andy, I'm super happy for you as always. You're just killing it
you
out
too.
there, and I grateful to be your friend and have you in my peer group and or my group of peers here that are just doing some amazing things, man. So,
Thanks, buddy. You too, man. I same to you. I appreciate it. So
heck yeah, dude. From the Company Cam Studios, folks, here in beautiful Fairfield County. Any Mulder Outdoors on Instagram there and YouTube and all that. Check it out. Mulder Life Podcast and Stephanie and Cowser Consulting out there. Go talk to them too. Andy, thanks again, man.
thank
Sayonara.
you. Yep. See ya.
Okay.